the road is quiet. The moment we say action, here comes a car. The road is quiet. The moment we say action, here comes someone turning on their lawnmower. So I think that is the biggest challenge with it. But it's a fun, acceptable challenge because it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like sometimes I see people on Instagram like recording and they're acting as if members of the public are a nuisance. No, you don't own the road. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Like,
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sound of Accra podcast. This is the A Conversation series. Today I'm joined with Isaac Ameyaw. He's the founder of Ike Motivation Media. And if you guys don't already know, the A Conversation series is a standalone series apart from the season where we speak to Ghanaian entrepreneurs and creators, and we just try to have a good conversation with them. So Isaac, welcome to the show. How you doing, man? Sir. Translation for those that don't know. I'll have to find subtitles for it. I'll put subtitles for that. Amen. Praise God. Well, it's good to have you on. What have you been up to, Isaac? Excellent. Really excited to see the new web series whenever that's completed and comes out. Of course, I had opportunity, from yourself to come on the latest one, Messi, which was actually really fun filming and being a part of that. It was a long road, the scripts, going through the scripts, the rehearsals, but I think that's just testament to realizing how much work that goes into producing a web series or short film, from the scripts to the filmmaking, the editing, getting characters together. It's a lot of work, and I was able to get a glimpse of that. So I just want to say, well done to all your hard work. It's not easy to do. No problem at all. All right, Isaac. So yeah, let's have a conversation. So, I know you have I know there's an Instagram page called Champagne Motivation Stories. Yeah. So I know on the Instagram page it focuses on different situations from real life people that they have, and they would, my idea is that people would submit questions to the page or dilemmas or questions or situations that they're facing in their real lives, and they'll send them over to you, and based on that you may answer them back and give them the advice. So if I'm correct, to tell us how that started, because I think that's where I believe that Instagram page laid the foundations for what you're doing now at Ike Motivation Stories, isn't it? Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense, and that's clever. I mean, after a while, when you're creating content, it gets to a point where, okay, I think we've lost him. Hopefully he comes back in. Well, let's just bear of us for a moment. Hopefully Isaac gets back in. So what I understand from what Isaac was sharing is that, Isaac started off, creating, these stories and post them on Instagram. And then after a while, Isaac would then, because he got so busy, Isaac would then post dilemmas that was sent out to him. And then the audience would then answer the dilemmas in the comments in terms of what they think people should do based on those dilemmas. And I think that's a great way to automate in a way the content creation process, because when you're so busy focusing on one thing and you don't have time to do both things, this just makes life easier, but at the same time it allows the page to continue to do what it needs to do. All right, so we are gonna Isaac is gone. Let's just try and find Isaac and bring him back into the stream. I think you've lost him. Let's see what we can do. Hold on. Okay, so there's Isaac. Isaac is just coming back. We've lost him, but I think he should be coming back in just a moment.
hey, bro.
Yeah, hey. So, yeah, sorry, looks like we lost you. No problem.
Yeah. It cut off and it asked me to refresh.
Oh, right. So. No problem at all. All right. So yeah, I was just summarizing, what you were just talking about. So I guess we can continue. We don't have to restart. So that's just no problem at all.
Okay.
So yeah. So what I got from that was that, you started off maybe writing the stories, and then people will leave comments. And then because you decided to pursue, recording the web series, you decided to switch the way that you created content on the page. So you would get the dilemmas, and then the audience would leave comments, and you allow the audience to decide how people should handle those dilemmas. So in a way, the content was creating itself, and all you have to do is just post it on your page just to keep the page running. So that makes sense. That's quite clever.
Yeah.
That was quite clever. So the Instagram page did morph into the short stories, the filmmaking, right? Or that came about regardless of the Instagram page.
Yeah. So the plan was always to make the short films and the web series. So that was always the plan. It was just in the interim, until that took off, I thought, oh, let me build an audience that is a ready-made audience for my visual content when it's ready.
Okay.
So it was something to do in the interim. So the Instagram is a result of the web series, because the intention was to build a platform so that people know, okay, you tell stories that are engaging. Okay, you now have visual stories. We're gonna check those out.
Clever. I love it. It's a natural transition, and I've definitely seen the growth, and where it's gone to. Okay, let's keep this conversation going. So during COVID lockdown, a lot of people took on new hobbies. They learnt new skills, and then they went into new businesses, and they went into different things. If I'm correct, I think during COVID lockdown is where you kind of picked up some of the skills, which helped you with your filmmaking. I don't know if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so during lockdown is when I learned how to write. So I learned about story structure, the format, the progression, the character arcs. So I learned about the technical aspect of storytelling. So because anyone can tell a story, but there is a way to tell a story that maximizes engagement. So when you watch most popular films you'll find they follow the same kind of principles are there. Even if the stories differ, the principles are always the same in effective stories. And so it's during COVID when I learned that, and then started writing. And the funny thing is, I'm still learning. So I'm still learning how to, because it's a bit like driving. There is knowing how to do it, and then there's knowing how to do it well. And how to do it well only comes via repetition. So I'm still in the process of learning how to do it well for maximum impact.
I mean, I think this is going to be a lifelong journey. I mean, whatever craft or thing that you're doing, you're always learning how to improve and always learning how to get better. So I can definitely understand that. But from your scripts, like, it always seems that this is something that you've been doing. It always looks like it's something that you've been doing for quite a long time, but you've been doing it for a little while, but not too long. But when I look at your scripts, it's like, wow, this is really, really professional. Like, this could actually compete with some of the some of the bigger filmmakers that have massive budgets, and I think it just shows you what the internet can do. It shows you what tools we have at our disposal as maybe smaller creators or filmmakers, because I feel like the internet and software tools, etc., has helped to level the playing field, and and maybe things that filmmakers could only afford now, maybe smaller creators can afford to an extent. So it's such an interesting period, and I really like what you're doing with using that that experience, using that time to learn these skill sets and then pull it into filmmaking. Like, you're doing a fantastic job. Yeah. All right. So let's keep it going.
Internet is
Don't
a
worry
game
about
changer.
it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. All right. So let's keep it going. So, now you've produced a number of web series, short films, whatever you want to call it. You've got the church series, you've got the podcast boys, which you mentioned, Messy, which I was a part of, and then you've got some others as well. Talk us through some of these short stories and the inspirations behind them.
Some of the inspirations behind them. So, we talk about the most recent one, which is messy,
Mm-hmm.
which is messy about the 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 love the love life and the love misadventures
Mm-hmm.
of a girl named Belinda.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the inspiration behind that for me was more the theme was um, learning to be satisfied as a single. Because I know a lot of people who they've never been single. There's always been someone on the scene. So even if they don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they're either in a relationship talking to someone or coming out of a relationship, so they're never single. And so for me, the theme I wanted to write something which which was basically saying until you learn to be comfortable with your own company, you're always going to be at the mercy of someone else's willingness to either accept or reject you.
Mm.
And so yeah, so that was kind of the overarching thing. And so she was like the centerpiece to which to tell that story. And then as you watch through the story, you find that as once she comes, her journey is arriving at that realization. And the
Mm-hmm.
question is, does she arrive at that realization? Does she arrive at that point of growth where a relationship is good, but to be most effective in a relationship, you have to be comfortable as a single.
Mm-hmm.
So that was inspiration for that one. And then there's When Men Cheat, which was um, which is about trust. Yeah, so the inspiration for a lot of them is just about the human journeys that we go through. And so it will be about betrayal, overcoming fear, friendship, and so those are the things I try to explore with these characters.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Excellent. So, I mean, those are some really interesting inspirations for each of those web series. And I think I think it makes it for great content. And I think what really makes it excellent content is that people can kind of relate to them, and
Mm.
especially with this latest one that you pull out, Messy. Of course, I was in it, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, like they can't wait for the next season if that comes out, or they want more."
Mm.
Like you always kind of like leave people like kind of hanging, wanting more at the end.
Mm.
There's always like a nice cliffhanger kind of
Mm.
thing, and it kind of
Mm.
sets up, a potential next series and next season, which I know
Mm.
that when there's funding for that, you will kind of like release. Is that would you say that's kind of like is that always like the plan, like to pull out a series, see how people react to it, and then maybe you leave like something like a little cliffhanger at the end, so just to help people like cry out for another series or another season?
Yeah. So it's with you find with most shows, you tell a you you tell the story, beginning, middle, and end, the character journey, and then there is a new problem arising, and it's at the beginning of the new problem is where we end. And so for me, my whole thing is, because we're one of the benefits of the internet is that you can go straight to the audience. There's no middleman necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I was writing stories back in the 90s, somebody from the BBC or Channel 4 needs to affirm my story and give me a shot. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now I can just go straight to an audience, and how the audience feels about it will determine its success or failure, not it's not one or two people. Yeah. And so based on how well they do, like once the story's been told, if the audience is like, yeah, now we need to see more of this character, we want to see more of this person's journey or these people's journeys, then it's like naturally we will respond to that. But until then, telling fresh new stories, yeah, as well. So that is the overall goal, that one like um a particular story might create such a demand, because that happened on my writing, on my Instagram, champagne motivation stories. Like one of the
Mm-hmm.
stories was Daddy Sugar, and my intention, that I didn't even write that for a continuation. It was supposed to be a standalone story, but the outcry and the desire for more was so much that it became quite a long a much longer series than I intentionally planned. There was like one time I released part 3, and I said, if part 3 gets 1,000 likes, I'll release part 4. Within 24 hours, 1,000 likes.
Wow.
So there was a real, desire to hear more of that story. So that's always the thing. Letting the audience decide if they want more.
Powerful. And I think it helps to kind of dictate what direction that you need to go in. And it kind of tells you, okay, cool. These types of stories are working well. These types of stories maybe aren't working as well. Let me focus more on these stories that are kind of getting more attention. It's a good way to kind of like play the game. I really do enjoy it. And what so far? I mean, you've been filmmaking for quite some time now. What would you say is the most challenging aspect of it for you?
What's the most challenge? I think the most challenging aspect of it, because I mean, every aspect of it is challenging, but I think the most challenging aspect is without a big budget, sometimes we have to film in a public space. And so that can be the challenge of people walking by, cars swinging by. And there's nothing wrong with them doing that. They're supposed to be there. You know what I mean? Like, they're not the problem. It's just, it's a public road. Why shouldn't people be walking there? But then it's like, okay, someone's coming by. We have to stop. So, like, remember when we shot the scene with Todd, Belinda, and Tristan? How long that took? Because it's good.
Yeah.
The road is quiet. The moment we say action, here comes a car. The road is quiet. The moment we say action, here comes someone turning on their lawnmower. So I think that is the biggest challenge with it. But it's a fun, acceptable challenge because it's not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like sometimes I see people on Instagram like recording and they're acting as if members of the public are a nuisance. No, you don't own the road. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Like, it's not your road.
It's so true.
So I think that's the most challenging bit.
Yeah, and just coming to think of if what was possible if you had a far bigger budget. I mean, you got people like Tyler Perry. They've got the massive studios in America. I know we're kind of like maybe going into a slightly different conversation, but you have people like Tyler Perry. They got the massive studios in the States, and then you've got people like Idris Elba talking about setting up studios in Ghana and things like that. If budget was no option for you, like if you had unlimited budget, like what kind of vision would you kind of have for Ike Motivation Media in terms of like, these short stories? Like maybe you have it on certain channels, maybe you be doing movies, maybe you have like a type of set. What would that look like?
So what a bigger budget would allow, because I mean, for me, I want to grow my YouTube channel, and as that grows, also create a website for the content. Do you know what I'm saying? So that it's almost like my own Netflix. When you go there, that's my content is there. So like with a bigger budget, what that would allow is for longer episodes, right? So longer episodes, because right now the episodes are like 10, 15-minute episodes. It'll be like half an hour episodes, 10 episode seasons. That would also allow me to pay actors. And so once you're able to pay actors, it's almost like you can pay people to, like, let's say, book 2 weeks of work. And in these 2 weeks, we're going to grind, learn, rehearse, and film. You know what I'm saying? But because everyone is working, I'm working, we're then having to work around our schedule. So it would take like 6 months to a year to shoot one web series. With a budget, we could do that in 2 months.
True.
And so that is what it would allow. It would allow for much more to be done in a shorter space of time.
It's very true. More budget means more money, which means, you can do everything in less time, which means you can probably even get better actors, better equipment. I think the quality will go up as well. And of course, the frequency of content go out as well. Yeah. And you mentioned Netflix as well, which is quite interesting, because imagine if you had like a full-blown studio with all of these actors around you and all of this team. It's like you could be releasing content by the week, by the day, and it will allow you to then do something really, really amazing. So, I would love to see that, in the future. I think we do need something different. I think people are so used to what's out there, and I think your content is really unique because there's always that twist, and then it makes people want to come back for more, and it makes people want to like, oh, what's going to happen next, and I can't stop watching it. I think it's quite bingeable content. It's a really, really bingeable content, and I'm sure a bigger budget would like to do even longer episodes as well, which is just fantastic. I've really enjoyed this conversation so far. What would you say is the most enjoyable thing about filmmaking that you've been doing?
The most enjoyable thing, I'd say, I guess I enjoy the writing process, and also so for me the writing, coming up with the story, and then the filming is good. But for me, I'd say the writing is the most enjoyable bit, where you're able to craft the stories, decide the character journeys, how the journeys intertwine. And so for me, I say the writing is the most enjoyable bit. It's also one of the most challenging bits as well. But it's fun. I mean, it's fun, and it's just always trying to get better. And that's by reading books about the craft, reading other other writings. Because some of the one of the writing scripts which I read, which is like amazing, is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's a Jim Carrey movie. And that script is amazing. Also, the Pixar movie about the emotions. What is it called? Inside Out. Inside Out has an amazing script. There's also, amazing script. So also reading what those who are working full time and have more experience, what they're doing, and then learning about the craft as well. It's exciting, and that is really enjoyable. And with most things, if you can decide anything today, like it could be playing the piano, learning to ride a bike, swimming. If you're willing to commit to the discipline of learning and growing, like you can do most things. And then you just have to commit to, at the beginning, I'm not going to be very good, but with time and practice, I'm going to improve. And so as long as you're not afraid of being a beginner, you're gonna find worthwhile things to do and to grow in.
It's true. That's very valuable advice over there, Isaac. And on the topic of giving advice, what advice would you give to people that want to get into creative storytelling and filmmaking?
I would say just commit to a journey of growth. Commit to a journey of growth, and when it comes to the creative arts, the most important thing is creativity. So you may not have the best equipment, but everyone has a camera on their phone now. As long as you're willing to be creative, you can make something engaging. And as long as you're willing to learn and grow, sooner or later, you're going to make something excellent. So I would say use what's around you, and there are so many resources available if you're willing to learn. And if you're willing to understand, it's like driving a car. At the beginning, you might be stalling all over the place. At every hill, the car rolls back. At every traffic light, you're stalling. But you stick at it. And then before you know it, driving becomes automatic. You don't even think about changing gear. You're just doing it automatically. And so that would be my advice. Creativity is the biggest X factor within this field, and there's no budget for creativity. You know what I'm saying? There's no limit to it. It's all about what's in your mind. So you don't have to worry about a big budget, and you don't have to wait on people. Because when I first started, I tried. Like my original intention was to write a script and get someone to film it, get actors. And it was just long. I wasn't finding the people. Do you know what I mean? And the prices they were quoting, I couldn't afford. So I said, what? I'll learn to do it myself. I'll learn how to edit. I'll learn how to film. I'll learn about ISO and aperture. And I just learned it. And so I would say, commit to learning. And in this field, creativity is the most important thing. So even if you don't have the best equipment, you have your mind and you can be creative.
That's powerful. That's really, really powerful. Just a couple questions, Isaac, before we wrap up. On that note, From when you started to where you are now, have you noticed a massive improvement in yourself in terms of going about your craft and the quality of the production of your content?
Yeah. So I've made improvements in my writing, in my in story structure, even with the filming, with the editing, with the color correction. And so if you watch, the first web series, or you even watch the Church Office, and you watch Messi. So when Messi came out, some of the people were saying, "Oh, are you using a different camera?" And it's like, no, it's the same camera. I've just learned to get more out of the camera.
True.
And so so in my own journey, I've seen improvement, but I still feel there's a long way to go. So like even when I watch back Messi, I think, okay, I could have done that better. I'm saying I could have made changes here to make it more impactful in this way. But yeah, so I've definitely seen growth, but the journey there's a long way to go, and I'm just committed to just getting better, And I think that's the beauty of any kind of endeavor. If you're committed to growing, you're going to see growth, as long as you don't quit. You know what I mean? As long as you don't quit, you're going to see growth. And and by God's grace, I've seen improvements, and by God's grace, I will, as I stick to it and commit to learning, I will see more.
Wow, that's really powerful, just to see the transformation that you've gone through, and for you to actually see it yourself. And that's really powerful advice that you're giving as well. You just sound like you're really committed to excellence, and I know that's going to take you really, really far. So what's next for you? I mean, I know you're working on this web series. What's next for you? What does the next maybe 12 to 18 months potentially look like?
Writing, rehearsing, and recording.
That's it.
So that's what I'm working on now. Writing. So working on the next web series. We start rehearsing this month, and then because there's the final season of Top Boy is coming out September, and so I did a video, I think it was last year, about what I think should happen in the final season. But I've done a new one, so I need to create the video and release that, as in what I think should take place in the final season of Top Boy. So if I was writing it, what I would do with it. So so that is what I'm working on as well.
Excellent. Yeah. I've noticed you have some other types of content that you're putting out, as part of Ike Motivation Media, and more of reaction to to what you're seeing out there. I think another piece of content was how Coming to America 2 should have been. I mean, that's a big one. A lot of people expect to Coming to America 2 to go a different way, and a lot of people didn't like it because the first one was so good. I think it just put a lot of pressure for the second one to also be good, and of course a lot of people thought it was just average or below average. So I really find it interesting, these perspectives that you're having on mainstream pieces of content that are out there, whether it's films or TV series. So I think it goes along well with the short stories that you're telling, because at the end of the day, all of these things are stories. Great, awesome.
Definitely.
Well, Isaac, it's been a great conversation. Of course, we'll link the YouTube channel. My pleasure. We'll link the YouTube channel, the Instagram, in the links below. Other than that, I mean, where can people find you, and how can they reach you?
YouTube. So the YouTube is Ike Motivation Stories, and the Instagram is Champagne Motivation Stories. So that's my written content is on Instagram, and my visual content is on YouTube. And so those are the two main.
That's it. All right. So we'll put all of the links in the podcast description or the YouTube description below. Isaac Ameyaw, it's been great having this conversation with you. Thank you so much, and all the best with the filmmaking.